Hey everyone, this is Katie, and this is my training summary from yesterday, squats and deadlifts. I start out by talking a little bit more about reverse dieting after some follow-up questions I had, so if you're not interested in hearing that, then you can go ahead and fast forward through this first part of me talking in my car, and afterwards I'm going to be showing a little bit of my training. Hi guys, so I'm going on my way to the gym, and I set my phone up in my console because I don't want to look at my phone. So I'm just driving to the gym. Actually, it's Friday night and I have my squat and deadlift night. Again, I had heavy squats 2 days ago and light deadlifts, and tonight is actually hypertrophy squats and then my heavier deadlift set. So I'm going to be going to the gym and doing that, so it's a little bit. Typically I do my squat and deadlift day on Saturday, but I'm actually kind of cramming in my workouts, well, not cramming them in, but just doing it on Friday instead. I set up my schedule so that way this next week for peak week I can get my heavy workouts in earlier in the week, so I'm not doing them like a day out from my show. So, but one question that one question that kind of came up after I made my video on reverse dieting was this question about, well, why did you increase so slow? You're the same weight as you were back in November. You didn't make any improvements. You were essentially dieting for 7 more months, etc., etc. So I thought I'd address this just kind of in a quick video, because the reverse diet is different for everyone. So, you know, when individuals say, oh, you should have taken it more aggressively, you should have gained weight faster, well, you know, it's really up to each person's individual preference. Now, could I have gained more muscle if I would have done my reverse diet faster? Of course. However, I also probably would have gained more fat, which would have made my cut actually a lot more significant, and I probably would have lost that muscle that I gained. So what you have to look at is how long of an off season do you have? For me, my reverse diet was 7 months. That's really not a significant amount of time to put on mass. So yeah, sure, taking a reverse diet more aggressively, making increases faster, gaining more fat. Of course, I would have put on more muscle, more size, but I would have had to diet down longer. And since this year I said I want to do NPC nationals. I want to do junior nationals for NPC. So that's the reason we took it so slow, because I wanted to stay as lean as possible, because that really is not significant time to put on mass and then be able to diet down slowly. Because last year I dieted for 8 months, so it's a very slow process if you diet right. Now, I'm not saying that every diet has to be 7 months. That's just how long it took me, because I had to lose 25 pounds last year. So also, this is my first reverse diet with a coach. Last time I reverse dieted, that was in 2013. I did it on my own, and I did it more aggressively. I increased fat and carbs every single week by probably 10 to 15 grams of carbs, a couple grams of fat. That's a lot more aggressive than I did this year. Did I put on fat? Of course. Did I put on muscle mass? I put on a ton. But I did this over a year and a half. So my off-season reverse diet 2 years ago was long. That is ideal. If you want to put on muscle, you should not be reverse dieting for 3 months. You should not be reverse dieting for even how long I did. Did I put on mass? Yeah, I'm actually leaner than I was going into my last show. My legs are bigger. My physique has changed. So my back is a little bit more dense. Now, the thing is, people have to understand is my weight might be the same, but at the same time, if I'm a little bit leaner and I've put on a little bit of mass, obviously my body composition has changed. So it's really, especially as a natural athlete, I don't think people understand how hard it is as a female natural athlete to put on muscle. Of course, if you're more aggressive with your reverse diet, then you are definitely, if you're adding in calories, you are definitely going to put on more mass. Now, but the thing you have to be careful about is it more fat, which then results in having to diet down longer. So since long story short, since my off season was so short, yes, I probably did not make the gains that I could have with the more aggressive diet, but at the same time, I wouldn't be competing right now at junior nationals for figure. So it's really just about balancing it out and figuring out what your goals are. Because last time I reversed, I did it over a long period of time. I put on a lot of mass, but I also put on a pretty, 10 to 15 pounds of body weight, of weight, which a lot was fat. So you just really have to kind of weigh what you're doing, especially when you're a competitor. I said I want to do this figure show, so that really played into my reverse diet and our strategy going into this season. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit more perspective on kind of why my reverse was so slow. A lot of people do not take their reverse that slow, and they of course put on more muscle and put on more mass. So it's really just, everyone's body responds differently to reverse dieting, so it's not a one size fits all. So I hope that kind of helps explain a little bit for you guys as to why maybe I didn't take it as fast, but at the same time, I'm pretty darn happy with how my reverse diet ended up, being able to maintain weight on 320 grams of carbs. So I only had to cut for 2 weeks. So I'm essentially not losing any muscle. Maybe a teeny bit here in these next couple weeks just for my show. But I essentially didn't have to cut pretty much at all. I just cut for 2 weeks, a week and a half, and then a peak week. So it's really individual to every single person. This is a long explanation, but I just got to the gym, so I'm gonna go squat and deadlift, and I'm gonna film a lot of my sets tonight, so maybe I'll post that in association with this explanation too. So, all right, cardio squats and deadlifts. So here's the first set of my squats. Oh no, actually this is my second set. My dad recorded the first set and I don't have that on my phone. So this is 245 for sets of 9. This is my lightest squat day of the week. This is the end of my second week of my DUP powerlifting block. So typically Saturdays, which this was actually Friday when I trained, but usually this day falls on Saturday. I switched up my training a little bit, so this was actually Friday, which was yesterday, and it's typically my lightest squat day, which this week 245 for sets of 9 and only 2 sets because that's a lot of volume. So next week I think it's up to 250 for my sets of 9. I believe each week progressively increases volume either by sets or weight for my program. So those felt really good actually. And then I moved on to deadlifts, which was 300 for sets of 5. I was actually very surprised at how good my squats felt. They felt super smooth, super fast. 245 isn't a heavy weight for me, but I'm still very pleased with how good those felt, with how many reps there were. So then I moved on to deadlifts, which didn't feel quite as smooth. They were a little bit slower than normal for 300 pounds, which obviously I'm a week out from my powerlifting, or I'm sorry, I have powerlifting on my mind. I am a week out from my figure show, and my carbs have been depleted a little bit. We're starting peak week, so this was my lowest carb, second lowest carb day of the week. Then we'll start manipulating carbs here a little bit going into this weekend. I'm looking forward to my high carb day tomorrow. Yes, 350 carbs. I'm gonna be in heaven tomorrow. So overall these felt pretty decent. Really had to focus on bracing my back and just being patient with it off the floor because I was a little bit more tired, especially after doing squats, 245 for sets of 9. I have a tendency to lose my strength first in my upper body whenever I'm cutting. I honestly don't really notice a huge difference in my lower body strength for squats when I'm depleted a little bit, but especially my upper body. So what I notice give out first on my deadlifts is my upper back tension. So really focus on bracing my lats, putting tension in the bar before it leaves the ground, keeping it close to my shins. Big breath, that's where I tend to lose it, is in my brace, with my breath against my belt. So keeping my upper back tight, very key, especially when I'm a little bit tired. Didn't realize he was still filming. Did a little flex. Always have fun training with my dad. He's usually my workout partner, actually, or my friends from Beyond Limits. So these were some glute ham raises that I did following squats and deadlifts. Typically, I just add in like one set of hamstring exercises after squats and deadlifts because I like the feeling of it. I do it for a little bit of extra volume, but not necessarily. I just kind of mix it up every week. Sometimes I add in blood flow restriction leg curls. Those are some of my absolute favorite. And then I added in a little bit of just a teeny bit of ab work, direct ab work. These leg raises hanging here, I did 3 sets of 10, I believe. More so just because I like doing them. I don't do a ton of ab training, but every couple days I throw in a little bit. Oh, and then it was National Donut Day, so I had to stop. I had to stop at Tim Hortons. I got some Timbits, and then this was from this morning, practicing posing. So I'm going to save those Timbits for high carb day tomorrow. I'm really excited. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for listening. Bye.